I'd learned a lot about nonviolent communication over a decade, and I've done various courses. And I'm a counselor at a behavioral health agency, so treating mental health issues and addictions, and just noticing that so much of it was relationship based. So many of the conditions, so many of the reasons for ongoing depression, anxiety, addiction, things like that, could be very connected to relational ruptures and disruptions and disconnects and things like that. I wanted to be have a higher level of training in being able to help people hear each other's needs, be able to communicate each other's needs in relationship, and relationships that had adversity or adversarial postures or stances associated with them. I wanted to have some really practical tools for how to achieve higher rates of conflict resolution. I personally wanted to meet my needs for being effective, knowledgeable, and being able to impart to the people I work with, the clients, to be able to impart skills and knowledge themselves to them, so that they could effectively communicate in ways that were reflective of peace and represented their core values, their inner values that they had previously maybe not even been aware of as much, and that came into a much more focal clarity for them, and that they were being guided by and operating by those values and communicating them, particularly in relationships that had high stake in their lives, and particularly in relationships that they cared about, and particularly in relationships where these relationships they cared about had a history of conflict or misalignment or misunderstanding or disconnection within them. I studied that a lot around relationships, and I feel like it gave somewhat of a guiding framework, but I felt like I feel like I needed layers and layers of practice, of conceptualization and implementation, and repetition around it, installation of it. I needed these things, and I felt like just the book was fantastic to give the framework, but in terms of a community of learning people, installing it, studying it, reflecting on it, sharing around it, that's what would help me integrate it. But I did study materials many years ago around family relationships. So this is what they call, not to be confused with internal family systems, but something else, family systems theory. I'd looked at that, which gave some very helpful frameworks and conceptualizations of why families and relationships with significance carry a lot of tension, carry a lot of anxiety, and lead to a lot of disconnection and so forth. So that provided me with education that I could share with people about why relationships end up being disrupted, but it didn't provide me with tools for being able to basically give autonomy, agency, skills, effectiveness to the clients themselves about how to resolve these disconnections and these misconnects and adversity and so forth. And so I really wanted something like that. And the way this course presented itself and explained it, there would be a lot of opportunity for how to really present and coach others in learning these skills and being able to resolve quite intense and quite intense relationships that had really been burdened with a lot of historical feelings of resentment and tension and upset and things of that nature, and be able to move towards much clearer resolution, and to be able to do it effectively and efficiently, enshrouded in kindness and love, really, and good, really honest and kind intention, mutual intentions between the parties. What it does is it offers these maps, or you might call them frameworks, or you might call them methods, for really, really deepening a needs awareness and a needs consciousness that's occurring at a mutual level so that two individuals who may have had misunderstanding, disconnection, resentment towards one another can really understand what their own needs are initially underneath the surface, how to communicate that to the other person, and also learn skills to really, no matter what they're hearing from the other person, to really identify what the needs are occurring in the other person, and then to be able to really express that to one another in ways that they've never expressed it before, in ways that are new to them, but that is absolutely absorbing to them and meaningful to them at the deepest levels, that really captures their attention and signals to them that the deepest quality of communication that can happen between two human beings, the highest satisfaction communication that can happen between two human beings, is through these maps and through the expression and identification of mutual needs in these processes. And that if they get a routine going in their lives of communicating their needs in these ways, then the level of the quality of the relationship is going to absolutely transform. It's going to transform and move to levels that they never had really conceptualized before, that they never really thought possible. And now it's opening up opportunities for relationship closeness, mutual understanding, mutual recognition, mutual collaboration on levels that they really had never anticipated. And so in that way, it becomes the most meaningful learning experience that they perhaps ever had. And that's not just with the clients, that's to do with life. That's to do with relationships, whether it's my colleagues or whether it's my family, whether it's my kids, whether it's some friends, whether it's distant relatives, whether it's new people I'm meeting. It's brought this consciousness to me of self-connection, following that process, accessing what my own needs are, first of all, really leaning into them, connecting with them, getting that foundation set. So I know what my needs are, and if I'm not getting them met, then I'm thinking of solutions to get them met or strategies to get them met, and then that settles me. And then there's the element of empathy for others, which was really, empathy, particularly in the industry I work in, is a word that's really been circulated around, but there are very, very different conceptualizations and framing for empathy. And I'd never seen it at this level. And this is a nonviolent communication version of empathy. And to me, it's the most comprehensive way of being as certain as one can be that they gave the absolute requisite amount of empathy to the other person. And I found that both of those things have absolutely transformed how I function in every manner of relationship in my life, way beyond work, in all things. We can talk about my 19-year-old daughter, starting with her and how I listen to her and how I respond to her and how I listen for her needs and how I express what I think her needs might be. I guess at them, and then she could correct me, and then I come back and I re-express what she said and what was mattering to her, and then I can express again what these things were that she was fine-tuning as being very, very important to her, and then it leads to more peace and more clarity and more mutual connection and understanding in vital relationships. And then again, of course, in terms of myself, right? Sometimes life getting really busy, stepping into step zero, stepping into self-connection. What are my own needs here? Maybe my only need is to settle down, have stillness, be receptive, something like that. And now these work almost as mantras in my daily functioning in many different settings and many different relationships. And so it's really elevated that quality. And then when I think about the other maps, I think about internal mediation and so forth. So, things like Mourn, Celebrate, Learn, or Chooser Educator, things of that nature. Really thinking about choices I've made, being able to mourn the needs that I didn't meet in a very intentional way, and then being able to celebrate that there was these needs that I had, that I was aiming for, that I was trying for, that maybe it didn't happen, maybe some of them did, and then the learning, right? You get to really conceptualize, well, what would I do moving forward if I encounter a similar situation, which usually we do, how am I going to keep or emphasizing the importance of keeping all the needs that were or were not met before, keeping them at the forefront of my mind, and keeping my mind in a place where, well, what's a peaceful way I can get those needs met, or an effective way I can get those needs met moving forward. So if a clinician or somebody participates in this course, they're going to be able to coach people into becoming very, very competent and feeling very confident and feeling very competent around being able to maintain very balanced relationships and to be able to deepen relationships and to be able to participate at very deep levels in relationships in ways that is going to transform their lives. So what's happening here, on the one hand, you're going to have people coming in and learning these skills to be able to use them in their work. But when they're learning them, not only are they going to learn these vital, essential, and very, very practical and useful skills, but then they're going to be able to transform it and transfer it and coach individuals in how to use them and how to integrate them and just have a way more fulfilling relationships and impact other areas too, like not just having fulfilling relationships, but getting a lot more autonomy about decision making in relationships and just decision making in their own lives for themselves. It's going to lead to high level awareness, high level knowledge of implementing skills, implementing decisions, implementing choices, and knowing that they are coinciding with their own, with deeper, widening levels of knowledge of their own needs. So they're making decisions based on their needs, and they're making decisions based on the needs of others, and helping those things mutually support one another. And that all of that process is what somebody signing up for this is going to get. And they're going to be walking around with all these maps that they've learned about enemy images, about internal mediation, mediation between others, and so forth, healing and reconciliation, all these different maps. And they're going to be able to just know so many different techniques and skill sets to be able to transfer those and coach other people in how to use them and resolve so many situations that would have been perceived as irreconcilable before. And you're going to find that reconciliation is coming to those situations that previously seemed irreconcilable. Wow, that's a very, very beautiful thing. And so that's what somebody entering this field, entering this learning is going to acquire at the end of it. Very satisfying. Whether you're working in the field that I work in, or you're wanting to, do mediation, and you're wanting to improve your own skill sets, you're wanting to improve your own needs awareness, and you want to have a broad range, but also a specific range of very useful skill sets. This is the course to take. This will elevate your personal relationships, and it will elevate the work that you do. Even if you're not in the mental health field, for example, if you're working in business or tech, it'll elevate your opportunities for deeper, closer, better relationships in whichever areas of life that you choose to apply it to.